My name is Wes Curtis. I'm with Texas Best Seminars. Texas Best Seminars puts on the Downsized Government Conference the last Sunday of every month at the Chariot Inn, 7300 North I-35. It begins at 1 o'clock. Our speakers this month is going to be the surviving members of the Branch Davidians. We're going to be able to provide evidence that the government has murdered men, women, and children. That's February 22nd of this month. Texas Best Seminars is an interactive media and teaching organization, and our purpose is to uncover the blackout by the mainstream media. And part of that is, as we were here last month to talk about ASAP, there were military police here, SWAT members, and the mainstream media did not report any of it. I understand that these police were here to protect the commissioners, and I would propose that that they were here for the purpose of intimidation of not only the audience but also the speakers. So we're here again to talk about the same subject again, ASAP.
If you want to talk about that same subject again, sir, you can do that when we bring up item 5A.
Well, as I have comments today about that program.
Your comments now can be about any item but anything that's listed on the agenda, because you're being taken out of order. And we'll be glad to hear any comments you want to make about ASAP when that item comes up so that we can discuss it.
We don't know what time that's going to be coming up today, do we?
Probably in just a few minutes.
Okay.
Also add that Texas Best Seminars, in staying true to our mission statement of being an interactive news and education organization and not blacking out the public, we just heard a gentleman give a presentation about people being able to access websites through the internet to really find out about their government, that they don't have to come to Austin to find out about government. Well, I would tell people, anyone who might hear this, that when you see those websites, you're going to see a very slanted website that's geared towards advocating that particular agency. What I will tell you is Texas Best Seminars website, we now have live internet broadcasting capability. We tried it out for the first time last night. We did it. And I would tell the Commissioners Court and all other agencies that hold public meetings and executive sessions that we will be making a very concerted effort to show up to those meetings, and we will be broadcasting the audio from those meetings live over the internet worldwide. There will no longer be a media blackout. We will not allow it.
Could you identify yourself for the clerk?
Yes, I'm sorry. My name is Steve Lane. By the way, that website is www.texasbestseminars.org. And you can tune into that, and you can see when we're going to go to these city council meetings, commissioners' courts meetings, and put out to the entire world how Austin city government works.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Rick.
Yes, my name is Greg Erickson. I come to you as a representative of Texas Best Seminars.
We have Constable Van from Precinct 2 on the left, Constable Bruce Alfont from Precinct 5, and Mel Coleman from Austin Independent School District. As Commissioner Gomez noted, Superintendent Neal from Del Valley also wanted to attend but was unable to. Constable Alfont's going to go ahead and start us off with a couple comments on the ASAP program, and then we're going to go ahead and proceed into just a quick status report about what's happening with ASAP, what impact we're having, and what improvements are we working on in the near future.
Good morning. I'm Bruce Alfant, Constable for Precinct 5. And I wanted to open up our comments with a little discussion about why we have the Truancy program to begin with. Why are we doing this? We started about 4 years ago when our juvenile population over at Gardner Betts was bursting at the seams. And the alternative at that point was to spend millions of dollars incarcerating more and more juveniles in the outlying years. What we found in the research is that almost all juvenile crime has its initiating point with the very first time a child skips school. It really starts with truancy. And what we found, our experience in Travis County, is a child becomes truant, and the school district, the parents, nobody's doing anything about it. They get in with some other kids that are truant. They start doing graffiti. They might start doing some drugs. And to do those things, they have to steal to support their habits. Then they start stealing automobiles then they start hurting people. And the premise of this program is that for our community, it's a lot cheaper and more effective to deal with a child the very first time he or she skips class. That we can see what's going on in that household and become partners with those parents to help that child get back in school. We've seen a lot of children where the parents say, my child's out of control and I need help. We've seen children where the parents say, he's got some sort of learning disorder and we don't know what to do. We've seen all kinds of issues that the constable's offices, our criminal justice division, and our social service agencies have been able to intervene and help these parents in a partnership to get their children back in class and graduating. The downside of truancy is that we have more dropouts, we have more juvenile crime, and we have more government assistance helping folks who don't have an education and can't hold down a job. So it's a very cost-effective thing to have a law enforcement and a social service strategy to go out and say, here's the truancy laws. It's state law. You have to go to school. And it's state law, you have to compel your child to go to school. But also, we're here to help you to understand what's going on in this household that's causing your child not to go to school. And I can say my experience has been that 99% of the parents we've dealt with have been very appreciative, whether we've had serious problems in the household or not. And attendance is up. And I think that this is, for the long term, a very beneficial program for Travis County because it's probably one juvenile justice center in the outlying years that we won't have to build. So those are my opening remarks, and I would turn it over to Roger.
Let me just reiterate. I fundamentally agree with what you said, and I think it was important for you to begin this presentation by reminding folks what it was we were trying to accomplish, and that it is a good-hearted, sincere effort to try to prevent more serious problems with youth in our community, while at the same time showing respect to the role of parents. Most of the parents that are contacted through this program by far appreciate finding out that their children weren't in school if they didn't know it. There may be a few exceptions, but most parents appreciate finding out, and what we see from a government standpoint is that's usually the last time we have to be involved in that. If we simply told the parents that this was the situation, many of them were quite able to deal with it, and God bless them. That's the best government there is the parent dealing with it on their own. We had Margaret's office representative and I had a meeting with y'all about this, and I want to explain the spirit of that meeting. This is fundamentally a good idea, a smart investment of resources from the county's end. Number one, because we're supposed to enforce the law. That's our duty. We took oaths of office to do that. But secondly, because it's a good strategy, as Bruce has pointed out, to avoid greater tax expenditures, more invasive kinds of things that we do with people when these kids really get to misbehave. But while we believe in this program and believe that this program needs to go forward, we've recognized long before recently that this program was not perfect and that we needed to continue to perfect it. Not only in what Travis County does with our resources, but what the school districts are doing and what processes are there. It takes better and better information and some investment in making sure that the information is right before we take any action on it. We've seen that as we got into this, that there was a lot of work to do, both on the front end of the process in terms of the information that generates a visit at all, as well as on the enforcement end later on when we have to get to our JP courts and hold folks accountable for violating the truancy laws, as well as the connections into the health and social services area where people need a little help from the community in order to stabilize their relationship with their kids and get their kids to have a good, as well as the connections into the health and social services area where people need a little help from the community in order to stabilize their relationship with their kids and get their kids to have a good relationship with the community at large. So I guess I don't want anyone who will be criticizing this to be under the impression that we so strongly support this program we already think it's perfect. We don't. And we know that there's a chance with this much volume of work for there to be mistakes. We are looking at those mistakes honestly, openly. unafraid to deal with them. Any of the organizations that are involved in this, we're trying to get better and better at this program. It's substantially a good program, and we'll keep on working on the things that are wrong with it. And I wanted to say that because I've sensed that it's not just a personal attitude about this, but the people that are involved in this team and have been working on this program have that attitude in spite of what others may try to, how they may try to characterize it.
Set up to hopefully change the community values so that it wouldn't be that necessary.
We said that
Not attend school.
That's correct, Judge. And one of the things I'll point out about the program is it's a learning experience, both that the children are in school learning as they should be, but the parents are learning too, and they can effectively stop our program by getting their children to school.
Good.
And that's the only way that we get the referrals is when the school tells us that they just don't know why the kid wasn't in school.
Wouldn't you all agree that what Bob just said is, in fact, a goal we wouldn't mind having at all? If there wasn't an unexcused absence from any school, we'd be thrilled.
I believe we've discussed this before. This program was set up to hopefully change the community values so that it wouldn't be that necessary.
We said the same thing about the handicap parking program. We would love for that to go out of existence, and everybody simply has to follow the law.
The enforcement.
Enforcement of it, yeah. Yeah, make that very enforcement to have to go away because everybody pays attention to what they're supposed to do. Yeah, to make that very clear. But if people would not, would pay attention to those signs, we would love it for that enforcement to have to go away because everybody pays attention to what they're supposed to do.
Good report, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there some more?
Would you like to hear about the plan, program, and improvements?
Yes, if we would.
Well, just to close up the status, the current state of affairs, and I just wanted to mention that to give you a sense of scope and scale, right now ASAP is making anywhere between 400 and 500 visits a night. It's a really large number. We've significantly increased in size, and I think it speaks to also the planned program improvements, because as we get to that scale, we'll start to see more anomalous things showing up more often, where we've made mistakes and we need to improve or recognize an area that needs additional work. Okay. And there are 6 issues, and I'll just go through them fairly quickly.
Delay those others after all.
Right.
They got naturally done. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Wes Curtis with Texas Best Seminars. To reiterate a little bit about what I talked about a little bit earlier, Texas Best Seminars is an interactive media and teaching organization, and our purpose is to expose the blackout by the mainstream media in which the news, what's really going on, is not being brought to the American people.
Which I might note that Fox 7 News has left before we decided to speak, so that kind of supports the notion.
They always do that. They miss the best stuff, on it.
The fact is that as of our, when we were here last time, we had SWAT and military police here, and none of the mainstream media covered that. We think that's kind of important that the people know that that's an intimidation factor by the audience, for the audience and the speakers. We notice that they're not here today. And
I noticed that somebody on y'all's TV-related programs has been reporting that I asked for SWAT members to be here, and I want you to know that's not true.
Do you know who did?
Well, I was told that I was told that that the reason why they were here was to protect the commissioners here.
Well, if you heard some of the phone calls we were getting, including during this last week, you might understand that it's possible people might interpret that to be a little bit more than just intellectual disagreement, and it might be verging on being threatening. But I didn't ask for anybody to be in this commissioner's courtroom. I appreciate if just that one little subtle point for reporting correctly, since we're all interested in the truth and the whole truth,
we are.
and what's really going on.
And the purpose for us to be here is to bring to the people information about what's going on out there and let them make some decisions on what they think they can or cannot do as far as the government is concerned. So again, we're here again to talk about item number 5 on the agenda today, and as I can interpret from what we're discussing here is that the purpose for item number 5 is to expand this program.
No, sir. The purpose of item 5 was to give us a status report and to give formal approval to the interlocal agreements with the Austin Independent School District and Del Valley for the program as planned.
Okay.
This is not expanding the program from its current operation.
But the end intent would be to expand the program.
Actually, the end intent is to do away with the program, as you heard. The end intent is not to have absences, unexcused absences.
One of the things that I hear a lot of is, I've heard a lot of statistics here. One of the things I've seen no one present, and that's the problems that this program has brought about. And I'm sure from what I understand here that we're discussing these problems, that it's in a constant mode of improvement, but nobody's talking about what kind of problems it has incurred so that we know how to address those particular problems. No one has addressed that today. So one of the things that I want to bring about in this is that, as I understand, ASAP started approximately 2 years ago at a current cost of approximately $400,000, beginning with a pilot program in 3 counties. And it was embraced by the people of that community, increasing student attendance, potentially for the purpose of bettering education. And I understand that Karen Sunlighter has been on the radio promoting this program, talking about its success.
Put it on a bumper sticker. Yeah, it was on Sammy and Bob's show, and I was proud to talk about it, and it's a good program.
I would contend that in these other counties, that the majority of the people in these other counties do not embrace this program, and that, like Travis County, they don't even know that the program exists. The fact is, I think that that you have installed this program without the consent of the majority of the people, and for the purpose of increasing revenue only. And I believe that by installing this program without the knowledge of the people, that the statistics have been arrived by intimidation methods, with threats of jail and $500 fines. And anybody with any common sense is going to figure out that the statistics are automatically going to go up. And I believe that they're going up because of fear. So you take no written authorization by the people, and only using attendance statistics gained by intimidation tactics, plus armed military police brought in to intimidate the people who want to speak out against this program like we did last time. I propose that this is tyranny, and the Texas Best Seminars is going to expose that by radio, television, international shortwave, and by the internet. I believe there's going to be a proposal today presented where the people can opt out of this program if they choose to do so. And if they choose to stay in this program, that they go on a list and will receive a call within a 48-hour period. We are opposed to background checks on all the parents. We feel that that's another invasion of the parents' privacy. And if no one votes to allow the people to opt out of this ASAP program, then we're going to know who the enemy of the people are. And if we have to jam the phone lines, or we have to fill this room, or we have to picket this court, then we're going to do so. And Texas Best Seminars is quickly becoming a voice for many of the people in Travis County. And if anyone wants to discuss any other issues about that with us, they can call us at 703-6767. That's 703-6767.
I would like to take odds with your statistics.
Would you introduce yourself again, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. My name's Steve Lane.
Thank you, Steve.
You had mentioned that overall that you were seeing 1 to 2% improvement in attendance at school. Is that correct?
Would you join us back up here, please?
Is that a correct? Did I write that down correctly?
Certainly, Judge. Can you address the question again? I want to make sure I understand.
I believe you said typically throughout the program you were seeing 1 to 2% gains in attendance through the ASAP program. Is that correct? An overall figure?
Each year, approximately each year, we will see an improvement at the middle schools and the elementary schools, ranging around 1%. And in these,
they had lower attendance rates then the schools that didn't participate in the program now have higher participation rates or attendance rates in those schools.
My point is this: you were very fond of this word significant. You kept bringing up the word significant. This is significant improvement. This is significant improvement. When you were talking about 1 to 2% gains, I suggest that if your boss decided to give you a significant raise of 1 to 2%, you would probably be offended. It doesn't even 1 to 2%, statistically speaking, doesn't even in 20% improvements in attendance rates. But I must admit, you totally threw that off balance, because I haven't seen anything impressive or significant about 1 to 2%. Again, I just go back to that thing. If I gave you a 1 to 2% raise, you wouldn't be impressed at all. But that aside, for all this bickering and these discussions about issues and people's liberties and people's rights, one of the things I'm most concerned about is through all this, something has been lost. And that's these kids bickering in these discussions about issues and people's liberties and people's rights. One of the things I'm most concerned about is through all this, something has been lost. And that's these kids. Now, I don't think anybody would disagree with me, whether you're an advocate of this program or not. The main tool used in getting these children to school is intimidation. And you cannot deny that, because...
By their parents?
No, intimidation by a law enforcement official, a constable, okay? I don't think that the opposition, and I don't want to speak for anybody who opposes it, but from my personal standpoint, I'm not opposed to developing a way administratively that perhaps, you're talking about caseload here, that a large caseload, use the telephone. Why can't you sit in an office and pick up a telephone and call the parent? For God's sakes, why don't we just get really old-fashioned about it and send them a letter? Send them a letter saying, your child's been absent 2 or 3 days. Please contact us at the school. You said the point is communication, dialogue. If that's the point, why are we sending armed constables out to initiate the dialogue? Why is that necessary? Couldn't we do the same thing through administration? I don't understand. You cannot deny that it is the intimidation factor of sending a law enforcement official, an armed law enforcement official, to someone's house. You cannot deny that that is what has caused the increase in attendance. That deeply disturbs me. I really don't understand how we can justify getting results by selling our souls. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're saying to our children, and I think you would readily admit that a lot of these children probably are starting into becoming problem children, okay? That having been said, that means for whatever reason or another they don't want to go to school. Perhaps, and I haven't heard anybody say this, perhaps the school is garbage. We've seen that. Public schools, generally speaking, have a certain garbageness to them. If that was not the case, you wouldn't see the rapid drive away from these schools into homeschooling, into rapid support for school vouchers, especially at the state level. We're percentage. Some of them aren't going because the school is garbage, okay? Others aren't going because they genuinely fear for their safety. Schools, we hear it all the time. You even talk about it, that schools have drug problems. We have crime problems in school. We have gang problems in school. A lot of those kids might be scared of that. So what are we doing in essence? What are we doing? They're scared to go to their school, or they don't want to go to school. So they want to stay in the last sanctuary they have on this earth. They're staying at their home for whatever reason or another. And what are we doing? We're intimidating even further. The last place that's a sanctuary for them on this earth is their home. Okay? And we're sending armed law enforcement officials to their house to intimidate them even further. It's not enough. A high school child. If you don't think it's intimidating to stare at a law enforcement official who's armed with probably a flashlight that's capable of whacking you over the head pretty hard, as they're trained to do, perhaps, I don't know what the term for it is, nightstick, something like that, and probably the weapon of choice for most constables, a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. If you don't think that's intimidating, I don't believe that. If you've ever been pulled over by any law enforcement official for a ticket, your heart races. Why? They're a law enforcement official. They have guns. They have clubs. They can whack you over the head if they want.
My heart is usually racing because I've just done something wrong and I got nailed for it.
But it's intimidating. The point is, the law enforcement official is intimidating. What is the problem?
I got out of a ticket the other night, actually.
What is the problem with picking up the telephone? Why do we have to make our messenger an armed law enforcement official?
I've got to say this because I'm sorry. I grew up in a household where my parents taught me and my teachers taught me and my neighbors taught me that if I were in trouble, that a police officer was my friend. And that's who I should seek out for help. And that's certainly what I am teaching my niece and my nephews and my, everybody that I come in contact with, that a police officer is a friend. And I think it's a real sad situation that some people are getting the message that somehow that is something in intimidation. And children are being taught that. But they can also be taught that they are friends. And while we're here trying to clear up some things in terms of Judge Elshire was trying to get something clear about what was happening here a couple of weeks ago, I actually watched Mr. Jones's program that night, so you did pick up a viewer. And they were showing video of Commissioner Moore and I discussing with a lieutenant from the Travis County Sheriff's Office up front, and the video was being shown of us talking with that officer, and the play-by-play was something to the effect of us ordering in our SWAT officers, and that we were laughing and joking and pointing out specific people in the audience in terms of referring to Mr. Jones and some of the others. Let me tell you what that conversation was for the record. There was a lieutenant up here having a conversation with Commissioner Moore and I, and what he told us was, thank you so much for voting for the pay increases for the Sheriff's Office, which went into effect January 1st. And I was joking with him saying, well, gee, it hasn't really hit your paycheck yet. It will hit at the end of the month. And he said to us, well, gee, if it's not there, I'll come back and see you. At which point I turned to the audience and point out in that direction. I said, if that pay raise is not in there, you and everyone else is going to be in this audience. And that's what we were laughing and joking about, a conversation. I had no clue who you guys were. In fact, I got here going, what's going on today? It was just...
Good question.
Well,
Good point.
no,
Why were they here?
No, I was referring to the number of people in the audience. I had no idea who you were. I didn't ask
the whole
for any
question.
officers.
Why were they here? Why were they here?
I didn't order them there.
Somebody had to order them to be here. They don't just come here. They're on a payroll. Somebody ordered them to be here.
Well,
I don't want to be rude.
And I wasn't discussing with my SWAT officers conspiracy theories about what Margaret and
I don't want to be rude, but Mr. Jones's show
believe it or not, we actually weren't discussing you all.
Mr. Jones's show is a call-in show. You can take issues up with Alex Jones, with him personally.
Would you finish your testimony?
The issue here is about children, okay? I don't want to get involved in the pettiness of things like that because it's petty, quite frankly. We're talking about
pretty
children,
petty in terms of
and we're talking about intimidation. Okay? Well, this isn't the appropriate forum for your problems, personal problems with Alex Jones.
I don't have a personal problem.
It sounds like it. Now, what I'm getting at is this, okay? If this program is such a wonderful program, I heard you tout it, I heard several people in support of it, including constables, sheriffs, whatever. You seem to be in support of it, okay? If it's not a question of whether or not it's a good or effective program, then I challenge you all to do this. Instead of making it a mandatory program, that by going to school you have to be in this program, you are part of this ASAP program. Let it stand on its own merits. If it's truly a good program, people will opt into it. I heard several times said today that parents are gracious that an armed law enforcement official comes to their house and tells them their child's been absent from school. Fine. Let that parent buy into the system, okay? What I'm saying is make the system standalone. Make it voluntary. Then you could promote it, tout it, however you want. You can go down and say, hey, look at all these wonderful statistics. Look at our improvement in our pilot programs. If you can convince parents that it's a good program, let them sign into it. Why, if it's such a great program, why is it mandatory? Why not say to the parents, hey, we have this idea for a program, we've already had it in place, now we're going to make it 100% voluntary. If you wish to participate and think it's a good program, think it has merits, then buy into it. Make it be a free market decision. That is truly what this country is about.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I think that's about it. I think it deserves serious consideration, that point. It really does.
Is there anyone else that wants to testify on this item today?